Hello, it is Saturday, July 24th, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's Saturday. We have reached Saturday, the most difficult puzzle of the week, in most cases, pretty much all cases. And I happened to, you can't see it on the string. I guess I can scroll down for a moment. You can see here, I just happened to notice, my eyes passed over this little blurb for Wordplay, the crossword column on the New York Times, which I actually never read. I realized I sort of saw this link and realized I never actually read this column. But it says here, Adam Aronson and Ricky Cruz bear all in a tricky Saturday puzzle. So a Saturday puzzle being described as tricky is a little bit intimidating because the whole point of a Saturday puzzle already is that it's tricky. But we'll see how that goes. I hope that you've all had a good week and that you're ready for a bit of a challenge. And I hope that I am as well. I think I'm going to get straight to the puzzle this time. I don't think there were any major corrections or anything to anything that was said yesterday, and this puzzle might take longer. And I do have to head out actually at a certain point. So I'm hoping this puzzle doesn't take me longer than doesn't take me past that particular point. So let's say we're ready to get started. Okay. And we have a popular brand of alcoholic seltzer. Oh boy, this is a new thing and it's advertised all the time. What is it? Is it White Claw? Like some hours, the wee hours of the night, for instance, once you get into 1, 2, 3 a.m. At bottom, not sure offhand. I'm just going to skip some of the ones that don't give me a lot to go on just yet, especially on a Saturday. I'm just going to go by them. One might be off the hook. I'm not sure, but let's look at some crosses. Fancy cars in modern slang. So I think this is whips. I didn't know that a whip was necessarily a fancy car. I thought that was a slang term for a car in general, but who knows? Auto Pioneer Soichiro. Not familiar with the name, but let's guess it's Honda because it looks Japanese and it starts with an H. Although that's interesting over here. Palm Products for short. That's PDA's, Personal Digital Assistants. I think we had an almost identical clue and answer maybe 2 weeks ago or so. PDA's, Personal Digital Assistants, very outdated form of personal electronic device. All right, let's come back here. Corrective phrase. I said? No. I'd say? Not sure. I might be on the wrong track with that entirely. More with it. It's probably saner, as in you're more sane, you're more with it, generally. Corrective phrase. I mean, it looks like it starts with I, as in I, me, myself. I mean, yes. I mean to say, as opposed to what you thought I said. Discography section. EPs, perhaps? So the discography, in other words, the list of music published by a particular artist, and one of the section might be their EPs, their extended plays, or their singles, as opposed to their full albums. So we've got a split answer here with 51 down where solutions are kept in brief. And then we see we don't have an additional clue there. It just says C6 down. Let's just keep going with the crosses up here for the time being. One might be off the hook. I mean, this looks like home something. I'm not getting it immediately. At bottom. Could this be in essence? In other words, so I'm not using at bottom in this way isn't something I've ever done, but could it be the case that to say, well, at bottom, this crossword is really about vocabulary. You could be saying, in essence, this crossword is really about vocabulary. I think that might be the case. I'm genuinely not familiar with that phrase, but let's see if that holds. The wrinkle in A Wrinkle in Time and the cosmic cube in Marvel Comics for 2. Well, I know almost nothing about Marvel Comics, and don't think I've heard of the Cosmic Cube, and A Wrinkle in Time by who Madeline L'Engle. I read that as a child, I think, but I really don't remember very much about it. Um, is there any way Tossed Coin could be this? Does that make any sense at all? I don't think it does. That makes no sense. That doesn't. That's Tesseract. Oh, it says for two. Yes. Okay. Always keep this in mind. Plural versus singular. Tossed coin, I'm sure, is completely not related at all. But one of the ways I could easily rule that out is by noting that the clue says the Wrinkle in a Wrinkle in Time and the Cosmic Cube in Marvel Comics 4-2. So we're looking for something that describes two of these things, not just one of them. So it must be a plural. It doesn't have to end with S necessarily, because it could be a plural that ends in a different way, but it's going to be a plural. And could it be a tesseract? Could they be tesseracts? Does that fit? One might be off the hook. This looks like home plate, kind of, but I don't know what that means with respect to the clue. Let's look at some crosses here. Camera setup. Probably a rig. I have a very minimal camera rig set up here to film me solving these crosswords. The minimal rig consists of a webcam, and that's the extent of my rig. Crafts supply that's difficult to clean up. I would say glitter, a notoriously impossible cleanup. Ready. So this could mean ready as an adjective. In other words, I'm ready to solve this crossword. Could mean ready as a verb. I'm going to ready my rig to record this crossword. Too bad I couldn't get one more R in there for alliteration. But I'm not sure which it is. Let's keep looking. Curry, for one. Could be a name, like Ann Curry, but could also be the dish, the recipe, which seems more likely. I don't know. Could be either. YouTuber's creation informally. Well, what do you know? I'm doing that as we speak. I'm creating a vid. Creating a vid for you. I hope you enjoy my vid. Physicist Nathan with an early theory of wormholes. I don't know. I don't know offhand. Eremite, e.g. What is eremite? Ingredient in a classic Caesar salad, anchovy. I really do not approve of the removal of anchovies from Caesar salads increasingly, it feels like, because they're a great component of a classic Caesar salad and a great ingredient in general, to be honest. People should do more cooking with anchovies. I think we've been culturally conditioned away from anchovies because of how they're presented in sort of children's cartoons and things like this. They are a great ingredient. And even if you don't like the sort of salty, fishy taste of anchovies, you can dissolve them into things like pasta sauces, and you'd never know there was an anchovy in there. They just add a really nice, rich savoriness that doesn't taste like fish or anything like that. They're great. Okay, well, this definitely isn't home plate, because anchovies are definitely in Caesar salads. Anchovies are in Caesar salads. One might be off the hook. I'm sorry if you're seeing this immediately or saw it earlier. Or home. One might be home phone. Something very few of us still have, a landline, a home phone, which might actually be off the hook or on the hook, which is not something that applies to the phones most of us use these days. Okay, with 51 down, where solutions are kept, in brief. So this could be solutions, in other words, answers. It could be solutions, that is to say, substances that are mixes of other substances used in chemistry or something like that. What would fit in this first part even? I don't know. Sorry. Let's keep looking around. Word of indifferent. Oh, I see. Okay. This is Chem Labs. How often is it that I don't follow my own advice? I didn't read the clue carefully enough. I got hung up on the fact that it was a split clue between um, two spaces, and I really glossed over the in brief part here, which indicates this is going to be an abbreviated form of a word. It is chem labs in this case, and unfortunately, there isn't really any indication in the clue that this is going to be plural, but it's not inaccurate. A solution could be kept in a chem lab or in chem labs, singular or plural, and they're both equally valid answers. So the fact that this one is the length that requires the plural is, you just have to think of the different possibilities. There isn't not a trick or anything. It's just how it is. Okay, so the word of indifference is meh. Eremite, e.g., could eremite be a loner? Is eremite a character from literature with whom I'm not familiar? That is probably the case. But let's, always dangerous when you have crosses on one remaining letter for two clues that you don't really know or aren't very confident about. But let's leave that for the time being. Campaign that may involve catapults and trebuchets. That would be a siege. Catapults and trebuchets used to assail castle walls, things like that. Okay. Curry for one. I suppose there's also the meaning of curry as in curry favor. But that doesn't feel like it fits here. The for one makes it seem more like a noun, or either a proper noun or a regular noun. What is a non-proper noun called? An improper noun? Surely not. Add to an overstuffed suitcase, say. I would say pack. No, I was going to say pack in, but that's not stuff in. Doesn't work with tesseracts, but I don't know if this tesseract, I don't know if that's true. Let's leave that for now. Let's see. What have we not looked at? Just what the doctor ordered, perhaps. Could this start with med something? I mean, there's no indication of abbreviation in here. Bed rest? Could it be bed rest? That is a very common doctor's order. Hallux, less formally. Now, what is a hallux? I don't know. It's probably one of those things that I sort of half know, and I'll see it once we have enough crosses, but I don't right now. Some spring births are presumably Geminis. Airdrops, question mark. Mist is, in other words, drops in the air. This is sort of a punny answer. Findings of Myers-Briggs personality tests. I think this would be types. In other words, personality types that are revealed when you take one of these tests, or allegedly revealed. Sound produced by a dental click. Tisk? I don't know. It strikes me as relatively vague. Long, unproductive activities. Let's keep looking around. Can of worms, a mess, I think. Let's just put that in for now. I do think that other plural ends with an S, probably. Spare me the details. This could be TMI, too much information, which is commonly used texting abbreviation. Daughter of Metis and Jupiter in Roman myth. I'm so much less familiar with the Roman versions of these mythical characters. Let's just leave that for the time being. Let's look here at this cross. 7-year stretch. 7-year stretch. What stretches for 7 years? Let's keep looking around. Deck builder's tool. A sander comes to mind, but that doesn't fit because of that labs, which I'm fairly confident about. What else is used to build a deck? I've never built a deck. Let's keep going. Heart diagnostic, briefly. So I feel as though there's an EKG and an ECG maybe, and they're different, and I often get them mixed up. And this might be neither of those, but I'm wondering if it's one of them. Blank Hallowell, real name of Ginger Spice. Okay, so maybe it is E something G, because I think this is Jerry Halloway. That's certainly a name I've heard before, despite my Spice Girls ignorance that was displayed on one of these crosswords a week or two ago. This is a name I recognize. So let's at least put E in here and move on for now, but we'll sort of leave that in for the time being. Cold and damp. That's one of those ones that I feel very silly for not getting instantly, but I'm going to look around a bit. 2008 Beijing Olympics mascot. I don't remember, but I assume it would be a panda. If it's Chinese, starts with a P and has 5 letters. Try one's luck in, say, could be to enter a competition. A garment on a tennis court is probably a skirt, I think is standard women's attire on a tennis court. Oh, cold and damp is dank. Yeah, I mean, I probably could have gotten that earlier, but got it with the cross. That's fine. Oh, this is probably not skort. This is probably not skirt, but is skort, I think, which is a sort of portmanteau clothing term. And I saw that. I thought that because ask nosy questions about looks like it will end with into. Inty isn't really a way that very many English words end. And this could be pried into. Ask nosy questions about it. You pried into it. Tweedledum and Tweedledee, e.g., for example, are a duo. Now, this is a case where you don't really need to know who these characters are, right? They're from Through the Looking Glass, Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, but you don't really need to know that. That's what they're from, right? It's a pair of something, so it's a duo. A sports bet. So an over-under here would, when you sort of over or under a particular score. That's what that refers to, I think. Certain toy, briefly. Okay, this sort of thing comes up in crosswords not infrequently. Certain toy, briefly. So this is going to be an abbreviation of something, and it can be very misleading if you don't go down a very particular pathway in your brain. And this is referring to a toy dog breed, which in this case is a Pomeranian. Racing game with speed-boosting mushrooms. That would be Mario Kart. Happenstance, cutely. So I'm pretty confident about all 4 of these crosses, which means this word ends in dink, which is a very weird way for a word to end. And well, probably a phrase in this case, because YD are probably not a single word, or at least not a typical single word. And this says cutely. And when you see cutely, that probably means this is going to be not a standard word. It's going to be a very slangy word. And more specifically than being slang in general, it's sort of precious slang. And I think what this is coinky-dink, a way that a corruption of coincidence that people say often in the presence of children. So I think that's what that is, coinky-dink. I don't really know that I've often seen that word spelled out. So there may not even be a standard spelling of coinky-dink, but in terms of the crosses and the spaces we have available to us, that's what I think it is. I don't know how much sort of cultural cut through a word like that has, but so apologies if that one was tricky for you. Certain apartment. A cell? Could it be a cell, maybe? I'm not very confident, so let's keep looking. Like a masseuse's hands often. Well, a masseuse might oil their hands before massaging you, so their hands would be oily. Long, unproductive activities. Why am I? Oh, time sinks. So we've got a little bit of a time thing here with a wrinkle in time. Was there anything else with time, or is that just 2 things? What am I looking for here? Sailor Moon genre. That would be anime. Japanese animation. 7-year stretch. What is that? What is a 7-year stretch? Oh, Minerva. Minerva, of course. Daughter of Metis and Jupiter in Roman myth. Minerva. 7-year stretch. What is that? An odd collection of letters. It seems like it should be obvious because there shouldn't be very many things. Oh, one needing a lift. A skier. So I had this ECG or EKG. An ECG might not even be real. I could be inventing a test acronym. It might be that maybe only an EKG is a diagnostic and I just confuse it because K and C are somewhat similar letters. Anyway, someone needing a lift is a skier. In other words, a ski lift that goes up a mountain so that the skier can ski back down it. So what is this? What is this? Oh, 7-year stretch. Teens. Your teen years, because they start at 13 and end at 19. And so that's if the difference between those inclusive is 7 years. Because I suppose we don't count 11 and 12 as teen years because they don't end in teen. So they're the tweens, the annoying word tweens. Supermodel holiday. Oh, that's kind of a nice little echo with Hallowell, holiday, both proper nouns and women's name. I assume this is going to be a woman's name. Looks like it could be Terry. Terry is the kind of name that comes up in crosswords because of the way that it's half vowels and ends in an I, which is unusual. But I don't know, so let's wait on that a little bit. Deck builder's tool. I mean, that probably is Terry because this is probably something that ends with an ER because it's something that does something, and that's a common suffix for that sort of word. Oh. Sellers of product lines like Jockstorp and Noreg. Well, I don't know. That sounds sort of Nordic or something. I don't know what that is. Ethnic minority in North Macedonia. I'm not sure offhand. I mean, I don't know that this is Terry, but I suspect it is. Very to Véronique would be très. Very in French is très. Like Frida Kahlo's art. I don't know. I mean, I can picture some of Frida Kahlo's art. In what way would you describe it? This could be an adjective, a sort of generalized descriptor. It could be a particular art movement. It could be an era. Let's just look around a bit more. Garment that might not be worn around the house. I don't know. Record producer. It's got a question mark, so it's probably not record producer in the sense of a sort of engineer figure who oversees the recording of a musical album. It's probably not that. It could be record, meaning a sort of the annals, what would be the word for this? Statistics and things that are kept over time. It could be record as in a superlative, the most of something, the all-time best high jump or whatever. Could be that. Oh, English word whose plural, French word whose plural is its English translation backwards. Wow, this is backward. This is, it's going to be hard to get without crosses, that's for sure, I think. So this is a 4-letter French word that when you pluralize it, which might be adding an S because that does sometimes happen in French, but does not always happen in French. There are other ways to pluralize words in French, as there are in other languages. So when you pluralize this and then reverse the order of the letters, what you're left with is the English translation of that singular word. So the English word wouldn't end with an S because it's still the singular. I don't know. I'm not actually going to spend time thinking through this until we get some crosses. Let's go back to this other part of the grid we've not looked at recently. Certain apartment. Could that be cell? Let's look at, Stuff that's hard to get off your chest. Stuff that's hard to get off your chest. So, obviously, the common meaning of getting something off your chest is metaphorical. In other words, to unburden yourself of some knowledge that is causing you difficulty or stress. But the question mark here makes it seem like it's going to be a different sense of chest. So maybe something more literal. I mean, maybe it means physically getting something off of your chest in your torso, which is what the metaphorical meaning of getting off your chest refers to, but obviously it doesn't have any physical component. But it also could be chest, meaning sort of a container. Stuff that's, and it could, again, more possible meanings of different parts of this phrase. It could be stuff that's hard, and you have to get it off your chest. You have to get the hard stuff off your chest. But it could also be stuff that's difficult to get off your chest. So hard could mean one of two things. And I'm probably getting myself farther and farther away from the answer the more I talk through it by going down this rabbit hole. Starting point of the annual Spartathlon. I have never heard of the Spartathlon. Presumably it is some kind of Ironman style competition or something like that, or maybe just a very long run. I don't know. Show that awards plays. Show that awards plays. So could this be the Tonys? The Tony Awards? That's the sort of Broadway theatrical awards. Certain apartment. Well, it's not sell. Probably not, because I think the Tonys is probably correct. Certain apartment. What is this? Why am I not seeing this? This is annoying. Some are performed in a theater for short. Maybe this isn't the Tonys. Some are performed in a theater for short. I want this to end with an S because it's some, and therefore is plural. French preposition. I don't know if the Tonys is correct. Show that awards plays. I bet it's the ESPYs. Could it be? Which I know from Crosswords is sports awards on the sports network ESPN. And that would make this an S. Some are performed in a theater for short. A certain apartment. Could it be a coop? Would a chicken coop be called an apartment by some weird chance? I don't know. What is this some apartment? This some apartment is driving me crazy. I feel as though it should not be hard. Oh, I guess co-op. It wouldn't be coop, it would be co-op. In other words, a cooperative apartment where sort of shared ownership is probably what that would be. And that does seem... Oh, so could the starting point of the annual Spartathlon then be the Acropolis? I was thinking of a city or something, but a landmark would make sense as well. And that would be a nice sort of symbolic place for such a thing to start. So then some are performed in a theater for short. Some are performed in a theater for short. Could it be operations or something? Like an operating theater where a surgeon operates, as opposed to, I was mainly thinking about a theater where dramatic works are performed. But I mean, is ops? I mean, it does say for short. Could it be ops, operations? Oof, this is not encouraging though. Oh, do I have something else wrong here? What is this? Stuff that's hard to get off your chest. This isn't looking very, very encouraging over here. French preposition. Blunt end. So it's got a question mark. So could this be the end of a blunt? In other words, a sort of a joint? Is there a suffix that goes on to something like blunt? Average, maybe. I mean, the first thing that I think of when I see this is mean. In other words, the mathematical average, the mean. That doesn't fit with T in the ESPYs, which, I'm not very confident about the ESPYs anymore after seeing this, but this part looks really correct in general at this point. Oh. Track, say. So track could be a verb, to track somebody, to follow somebody. Could be a course, like a racetrack, race course. Could be track, the sport, as in track and field, running and that sort of thing. French preposition. Oh, I apologize, everyone, for my having sort of hit a bit of a wall here. I'm sorry about this. Let's look back at this side of the Curry for one. Well, player. Could this be NBA player Steph Curry? That is a name I know because I lived for a very, very long time in San Francisco, near where the Golden State Warriors play, and Steph Curry became sort of a phenomenon in recent years. So maybe this is Tesseracts. Ready. Ready is ripe. In other words, ready to eat, or in the case of fruit, for instance, and there are other similar ways you could use that word to mean ready, but that's an easy one. Add to an overstuffed suitcase, say. I keep wanting this to be Tesseracts, and then I keep doubting it. Add to an overstuffed suitcase, say. Do I delete this part again? Record producer. What time is it? Okay. Garment that might not be worn around the house. So this could be worn in the obvious sense. That might not be worn. You might not wear it around the house. It could conceivably mean worn in the sense of wear and tear. It could not be sort of diminished over time. I don't know what that would mean in this context, and there's no question mark indicating a punnier answer. Garment that might not be worn around the house. Some kind of shoe. I mean, that does end in E. Doesn't seem right here. Deck builder's tool. What else does a deck builder have to do? Sellers. Oh, wait. Interesting. Maybe this isn't Holiday. Or sorry, maybe this isn't Terry. Because I just noticed this says sellers of product lines like Jockstorp and Norrig. Oh, you know what this looks like? It looks like IKEA. I bet that's not Terry. That was too presumptuous, me putting that in there. Could this be IKEA's? Those look like IKEA product lines. I bet that is. Could this be then Tess, maybe? And that doesn't change this deck builder's tool, so that's fine. Like Frida Kahlo's art. Well, it's probably ends in IST. It's probably, in other words, the way an art movement or any kind of movement might end in ISTs, and surrealist, something like that, which, I mean, that's not the answer here. Just an example of why I think this might be IST. Oh, I don't know. What is how would you describe her art? I don't know. I'm not any kind of incredibly knowledgeable art historian or anything. Ironically, the reason I have a bit of a time crunch is because I'm about to leave to go to a museum. I'm about to go see a J.M.W. Turner exhibit at the Tate Britain here in London. Um, 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 um. Record producer. Could the ethnic minority in North Macedonia, that's probably Serbs, right? That's got to be what that is. Oh, garment that might not be worn around brassiere? But I mean, is that what that is? What specifically makes that not worn around the house? I guess because you're at home, you don't want to be dealing with the sort of wire and everything. I mean that's I guess that's what that's getting at. Blank. Oh, I don't think I've even looked at this clue yet. Blank on. It's on. All right. Getting a few more clues filled in. It's on. Time to solve the Saturday crossword, maybe. Okay, let's see. Record producer. Oh, note taker. I see. You keep records, you take notes. There we go. There we go. Deck builder's tool. Nailer? Is that something? You need to nail things in with a nailer? Could that possibly be the case? Doesn't sound familiar, but it's not as though I'm incredibly knowledgeable about this sort of thing. Okay, well, here we go. I think I know what this is. Okay, French word whose plural is its English translation backwards. Oh, I thought I did. No, maybe I don't. No, I do. I do. It's état. Okay, because état is the French word for state. And if you pluralize it, you put an S on the end, and it's pronounced the same. It's still état, but has an S on the end. And if you reverse the order of those letters, it spells state in English. So there we go. That's what that is. Let's look back at here. This has got to be Tesseract. This has been my weird enemy throughout this puzzle. It's been playing with me the way that a cosmic cube sounds like it might toy with someone's fate. I don't know. Oh, add to an overstuffed suitcase is force in. Okay. And Frida Kahlo's art is feminist. All right, that's perfectly plausible. Deck builder's tool. I guess it is nailer. I mean, I totally believe that that's a normal, ordinary thing, but new one on me, I suppose. Physicist Nathan with an early theory of wormholes. And then eremite. Oh, Rosen? Could it be Rosen? I feel as though there's some sort of wormhole thing that has Rosen and Rosen something tunnel or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it rings a bell, but I couldn't tell you what bell it's ringing. Just that something's going on up in the right now seemingly barren recesses of my mind. Okay, pull in, rein in, potentially. You rein things in, you pull them in. That might not be correct, but let's put it in there for now. Oh, Halleck. Oh, big toe. This must be Halleck's less formally big toe. French preposition entre, I bet that is, which is between, I think. A preposition sort of between, before, after, that kind of thing. Blunt end, a roach. Yes. Slang term for the end of the joint, marijuana joint. That's what that is. What is this thing? What? Oh, tattoo ink. That's very good stuff. That's hard to get off your chest. Very, very clever. Tattoo ink. That is excellent. I love it. Love this clue. Great answer. Really good misdirection. This looks like oink or something here, and this double O is confounding. Because I kept trying to parse it as part of one word here, which it obviously isn't. Tattooing. God, that is great. And then it is interesting. What is this? I don't remember what this across is, and I'm deliberately not looking at it yet because it's ends exactly the same way as état, which is funny. So let's see. Track, say, it's probably song, and then average maybe is a stat. So there it is. And I have noticed that the jingle, which for whatever reason never played on the computer I was using previously to record these, is playing on this laptop. And I didn't know that yesterday, which is why it was so loud. I actually reduced the volume a lot in the after the fact in post-production. But I think it still might have been a little loud. I tried to lower the volume on the recording software this time ahead of time so that when the jingle comes up, hopefully it's not as loud. But I'm going to leave it in because I find it sort of funny. I can't hear it when it happens because I'm not wearing headphones when I record these, but I know from yesterday's video that it was in there. Anyway, all right, that was the puzzle. That definitely gave me some trouble here and there. Big challenges in this sort of northeastern quadrant and big challenges in the southwestern quadrant. The opposite ones, my memory is that they were relatively straightforward for me in this case anyway, but certainly struggled with some of the others. The ESPYs, which I thought was the Tonys, I mean, no two ways about it. I think that's going to be a really tough one for people without a North American cultural context. Maybe ESPN and the ESPYs exist in other countries. I don't know. I barely know anything about it in the United States. It's just that I've solved some crosswords that have had this as an answer before. Yeah. And then fortunate to have seen ads for this White Claw thing on YouTube and what have you right off the bat. I mean, that was a very lucky initial fill. Again, don't really know how many countries White Claw exports to. Yeah, a good puzzle in general. So we've got these two sports actually, because we had NBA player and the ESPYs, which both are fairly American, I would say. But a good puzzle. I enjoyed the challenge. It never quite got to the point where I was brought to a permanent, well, obviously not permanent, but brought to a standstill for more than a minute or so at one time, even though obviously in total I was brought to a standstill for several, quite a few minutes, and if you added them all together, but never at one point such a brick wall that I was just leaving the stream almost unattended. I enjoyed this puzzle. I forgot to credit its authors, Adam Aronson and Ricky Cruz. I think I read their name in context when I was referring to them through that link underneath the puzzle down below. But yeah, I think I enjoyed this puzzle quite a bit, and there's some answers I wish I'd gotten faster. I wish I'd gotten Serbs faster. I wish I'd gotten Minerva faster. EKG, let me just quickly search on my phone here to see if an ECG is even a thing at all, because I need to, for once and for all, know if I'm just making this up. It is a thing. It is. Okay. Electrocardiography is ECG, a simple test to check your heart's rhythm and electrical activity. So what is an EKG then? They're the same thing. They're the same thing. There's no difference between an ECG and an EKG. Both refer to the same procedure. One is in English, electrocardiogram, ECG, and the other is based on the German spelling, electrocardiogram, EKG, which are almost identical, but one has K's instead of C's and an extra M on the end. All right, that answers that. That's years of ambiguity on my part. And I think the reason I never looked it up is because I always assumed that whichever one I most recently remembered, I was simply making up or was a different thing. They're the same. So that's actually pretty handy for crossword clues, because that kind of acronym does come up from time to time. Wish I'd gotten dank a little faster, but what can you do? All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed this puzzle. If you tried it yourself, I'm curious how you got on. It's a Saturday, so it's always going to be on the trickier side for sure. But I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed solving along with me or following along. And if you do enjoy these puzzles, subscribe to the channel so that you can see the daily solve as it comes out each morning. And why not tell a friend? Tell your internet acquaintances, your e-acquaintances, or your what's the opposite of that? Your O acquaintances, your offline acquaintances. That was terrible. And to those who have contributed versus my Ko-fi page, which is linked under the video in the description or up in the corner at the end of the video, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. I mentioned actually on the Ko-fi page the other day that I spent a bunch of time making the introductory video and a little bit of time making the music. The music was pretty straightforward, but that animation took me a while because I really didn't know what I was doing. So it took me a lot longer than it would take a professional graphic designer or someone like that, that's for sure. And part of the reason that I gave myself permission, I guess, to spend that time was because of the support that people have given me through my Ko-fi donation page. And that means a lot to me. It help me, I guess, justify spending that time to make this thing feel a little bit more professional and a little bit more real, I guess, if you wanted to put it that way. And I'm really happy with the results. And so thank you. It means a lot to me. With that, I will take off and we'll get going to that exhibit I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Frida Kahlo's art. And I will be back tomorrow for the most likely easier, but a little longer and more leisurely Sunday crossword. With that, I'm off. Take care.